Welcome to the OC 20, a celebration and love letter to season 1 of the OC. I'm Michelle, and the OC is my love language.
And I'm Seth, and until very recently, I had never seen the OC before.
I'm really excited, Seth.
I'm excited too.
I mean, the fact that I kind of feel like you're my next victim.
Sure. Yeah.
When it comes to this show, because I love this show so much. And the reason we're doing this is because it's the 20th anniversary.
Right.
Since the OC premiered.
Which makes me feel very old.
I'm older than you, so I feel even older.
I remember when the show was on the air, because I share a name with Seth Cohen. And my only experience with the show was random people would be wearing shirts that say like I Heart Seth, or they'd have like little pins that say I Heart Seth. And I would walk up to them and be like, oh, you do? And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, your shirt, that's me. So that's all that I know about it. But I was very aware of it at the time, for sure.
Yeah.
This is kind of what it feels like every week for me, showing you a movie that you've never seen. And it's like, yes. And I always say, if nothing else comes to this show, at least I got someone else to watch, fill in the blank.
Right. And that's exactly how I feel about the OC.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling. And even so much more so the fact that you enjoyed it.
I did.
You watched it twice through.
I did.
Just season 1.
Just season 1. Yes. So I'm aware that there are some large changes. The thing that I've heard from people who have watched the show is that there's 4 seasons.
Correct.
Season 3 and 4 get weird, which I don't know what that could possibly mean. Do they start doing like musical numbers? There
is no musical number. No.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know what that could mean. Because the show is already a little outlandish in some of its storylines. But I don't know anything beyond season 1. So I very much enjoy season 1. So I can say that. Season 2, 3, 4, maybe not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit my relationship with this show.
Absolutely.
Which I think you know parts, but maybe if we have new listeners joining us. So I discovered this show when it first aired in 2003, but I didn't watch the premiere.
Okay.
So I discovered it probably mid-season 1.
Wow. Okay.
Right. And
wow.
And it wasn't until later when I rewatched it with Anthony that I watched the first couple episodes that I missed.
So when you say later, how much later?
I would say, you mean like when I first started watching?
Like you said, you rewatched it with Anthony.
Yeah.
When would that have been?
That was summer of 2009.
Wow. So the show was off.
For 2 years, yeah. It ended in 2007.
So you hadn't seen the beginning until the show was over?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I really...
That's interesting.
I was trying to piece this together today, and I realized as I've gotten older, I'm remembering less and less, which scares me.
Of course. You literally lose your life, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I missed the first... somehow I saw the pilot later on, but there was maybe episode 2, 3, and 4 I missed until I rewatched it with Anthony, but I always knew what happened.
Got it.
And so...
Well, this show does a good job of previously on the OC.
Previously on the Valley.
And then it shows you 10 years. The flashbacks are quite long. Yeah.
So you understand what's going on. I definitely saw the TJ episode when that first aired. And so rewatching it with Anthony is what really reignited me falling in love with this show, because introducing a show that I loved from childhood or from when I was a teenager, and then your partner loving it as much as you, that's the most fun. Sure. Out of anything.
And Anthony was into it.
We binged it.
Oh, cool.
We couldn't stop watching it. And it felt like an escape to California and the whole just early 2000s aesthetic.
Yeah.
We were super into it. And then that led me to making my sister watch it, a group of our friends watching it, later on my housemates to watch it, and then obviously starting Let's Talk OC, where I covered all 4 seasons on Total Betty Podcast Network.
Yeah, shout out Total Betty Podcast Network.
Yeah, I mean, I got to plug it.
Let's Talk OC.
Let's Talk OC.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, so then in 2021, Welcome to the OC Bitches came out.
Right.
Which is a rewatch podcast with Belinda Clark and Rachel Bilson. And I wrote in our Total Betty Discord I have to get on this show. I have 2 years to get on this show, right? 2 years later, I go to Epix and chill in South Carolina. It's a fan convention. And I meet Melinda Clark, who plays Julie Cooper. And I give her our business card. And she's like, you guys have to come on the show.
Wow.
And I walked away and I cried in a corner.
That's awesome.
And Liz started crying too. But I was like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't say anything to our listeners because I didn't want to tease that we might be going on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of our listeners thought I was crying because I met Melinda Clark and I'm like a huge fan of hers. And like, yeah, she was lovely.
I might cry if I met Melinda Clark.
Right. And Tate Donovan, we got to talk to as well.
Yeah.
But it was the idea that I love the OC so much. I had a podcast. I made it a goal to get on their podcast. And then she's like, yes, you guys should come on the podcast. So then Anthony and I go to Italy in October and Liz sends me a DM. She's like, hi, I know you're away, but Melinda Clark just asked us, can we do the podcast next week? And I was like, I leave the country for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right. Anyway, fast forward, we got to go on and we talked about a season 3 episode and got to ask questions. And they were lovely. And then they had Misha Barton on, and the producer, who's lovely of Welcome to the OC Bitches, emailed us and they're like, hey, do you guys want to be a part of this episode? And so we submitted questions for Misha Barton.
Got it.
Yeah. So I love this show.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell.
Would you say that this is your favorite show?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that this is maybe your favorite, like anything?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is my love language.
Okay.
And sharing it with others is the epitome of that.
So what about it when you first, you come in mid-season, why did you latch onto it and like continue watching it?
Yeah.
Like what about it connected with you? Do you know?
It felt different.
Okay.
I feel like I very much related to Seth Cohen.
Sure.
And the idea that we're seeing this family on television that celebrates Hanukkah and Christmas, so much so that as a teenager, I invented National Krishish Day, which was for our Jewish and Christian folks.
Okay.
It was December 17th, which fast forward is Anthony's birthday. So it's just weird
very
that
cool.
all worked out.
Okay.
And then so I'm introduced to Seth Cohen, who creates Chrismukkah.
Right.
And who is this character who loves indie music, who is super sarcastic, whose dad is Jewish. Yeah, and plus, like, Adam Brody is incredibly charming, and I'll forever have a crush on him as Seth Cohen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Seth is, like, great.
Yeah, I don't know that I could name, like, a favorite show or a favorite anything. And so it's interesting to me when people can, and, like, they know, like, this is their thing.
Yeah.
And so I think some people are doubtful of that. It's hard. None of this should probably end up in this episode, but
it will.
It's hard for people to grasp when other people are happy in a way that's different than what they can access. That was like a really long sentence. So like I say, oh, I could never pick my favorite show. And you say, well, I can. And so my first response is to be like, well, you must not actually, you're just pretending or you're just this or that. But I think it's great. I'm always happy for people when they have found something that makes them happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's like so much more than that because it's creating community.
Right.
And so when we started Let's Talk OC, I was so into it, obviously, to share this with other people. And then the listeners that we found from it. And then those listeners have become friends with each other, so much so that they travel to see each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that makes me very emotional.
Yeah.
If I keep talking about it, I will cry.
Yeah.
And our listeners are actually getting together. Some of them are flying to Newport Beach on August 5th to hang out with each other.
Wow.
To celebrate.
For the 20th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. On our honeymoon, I went to the diner and I went to the pier and I sat in all the booths and I made Aunt take pictures of me.
In every booth?
Uh-huh.
Why?
Because I just wanted to even though they really only sit in, there's a picture that says, oh, this is where the OC was shot. But I was like, no, let me soak up this coffee shop experience.
And so which diner?
It's the Redondo It's the diner on the Redondo Beach Pier.
Okay. But like in the show, like which diner are we talking about?
The main diner they go to.
Okay.
It's like in there.
Is this where...
It's not the Crab Shack.
Is this where we get the great line? Do you know what I like about rich kids?
Nothing. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
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 Legitimately, I think a good line, like a good gag.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay.
Yeah, but well, that's a spoiler. We're just I'm really going to try to keep it.
Yeah.
Because it's just season 1.
I know. Which we might have to do more.
We will
as I watch the rest of the show.
We will do more.
Yeah.
Before we continue into our next set of episodes, you had 2 questions for me.
Yes.
You wanted to know, did the pilot premiere and then the episodes shortly after?
Yeah. Sometimes when a television show premieres, you'll get the pilot and then there'll be a few weeks before the regular season like starts. And sometimes you'll only get the pilot.
Right.
So I was just wondering, because to me, I am not nervous to talk about this show, but because I did like it, I don't want people to like hear certain things that I say and go, oh my gosh, this guy's crazy, because I know that people really enjoy this show. And again, we're doing this to celebrate the 20th anniversary and everything. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to get that out of the way. To me, the pilot is like the worst episode in the season.
Okay.
It has a very different feel from the rest of the season. What I wrote down in my notes that my second time around was, this is way more like geared towards Ryan's character than it is towards the rest of the cast, and especially towards Seth. It feels like the show becomes more Seth-centered as the season goes on, because I imagine people respond to him, and Ryan can be a little one note towards the beginning. He's very brooding and angry, and every episode towards the beginning, he's either getting punched or punching somebody. Mm-hmm. So I was curious, like, did they have time in between to kind of adjust or what happened, you know?
So interesting, because I never viewed it like that.
No, really?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
And also it could be, I mean, I've seen this series so many times, especially the pilot.
Yeah.
I've probably seen like 10 times.
Wow.
And then this season 1 alone, probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 times.
Wow. Okay.
So, but to me, like, this story is a Ryan story.
Yeah. But
to answer your question, so it aired August 5th, 2003, and then it continued week to week.
Wow.
So there was no gap until we had the Tijuana episode.
Yeah.
Which was episode 7, The Escape. And then we had a month and a half break. So
okay, wow. So a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah. I mean, TJ's a big episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you wanted to know who is my favorite character outside of the core 4.
Yes. Yeah.
It's Julie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I love Julie.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Obviously, nothing that I say about any character is a slight against any of the actors.
Correct. We could say that across the board for anybody that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and also for any movie or anything we're talking, it's never, you know, had they asked the actress to portray her differently, she would have. You know what I mean? So, but having said that, that's very surprising. Julie would probably be at the bottom or near the bottom of characters that I either like or like I'm drawn to, you know?
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Did you want me to answer strictly for just season 1 or the series? Because it changes.
Oh, wowee. Okay.
So if it's season 1, then it's Sandy.
Okay.
But overall series, it's Julie.
That's very interesting. Okay, that makes me interested to continue watching.
Yeah, outside of the core 4.
Okay.
And then my favorite character of the entire series and season 1 is Marissa.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about Marissa in her episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of explain how we decided to break this down?
I think you should really explain it because I made you do this. So
I had originally agreed to watch the show just out of interest from knowing Michelle is really into the show. And so it wasn't like, oh, let's watch it so that we can cover it or whatever, right? We're always kicking around different ideas for additional things that we can do, because for some reason doing a weekly podcast is not enough work for some crazy reason.
Yeah, I don't know how to not say no, I guess.
So we're always kicking around different ideas. And I watched the first episode, the pilot, and I was pretty surprised that I didn't like hate it. And I continued to watch a little bit more. And after watching the next few episodes, I had said to Michelle, we should do something on it. And so we figured out, are we going to do it episode by episode? That's 27 episodes. That's a lot. I had pitched doing it by like theme or whatever. And so what we kind of landed on was covering specific characters and their arc over the first season. And so a lot of stuff, if you've seen this whole show, which apparently everyone on Earth has, I talked to like different members of my family, and which, 2003, I was living at home. They were like, yeah, we used to watch the OC every week. What are you talking about? I apparently was the only one who wasn't watching this show.
That's so wild to me that you didn't even catch it on TV once.
No.
The other thing I have to mention is that you're a diamond in the rough, because Seth has no idea what happens in the entire series.
Yeah, he
doesn't know what happens to characters.
No. And the first season, the first season ends, and I legitimately don't know. I would assume that Luke would somehow find his way back to town, just because he's so interesting and he's involved with so many of the different characters. Oliver leaving, I can see him never coming back, but I can also see him coming back more evil than the first time. That could happen. We know that Seth is coming back. We know that Ryan is coming. Like, those things aren't really surprises, but I genuinely don't know what happens next. And I don't want to say like I pride myself, but I consume a lot of films, and a lot of movies follow the same structure in telling a story. Nothing wrong with that. It's not interesting. So after a while, in general, you can kind of put the pieces together of what's going to happen, at least the large pieces of what's going to happen. As I was watching the OC, episode 2, right? I was completely shocked at how that ended. I had no idea that Luke was going to fess up to being there. No idea that he was going to fess up to starting that really, really surprised me. And so it was really episode 2, the ending of that, where I was like, wow, that's, I didn't see that coming. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've heard criticizing this first season, which I actually think is one of its best strengths, is it packs in so many different storylines, and characters are going up and down, and who is relating to who in what way is changing each episode. You could have stretched this out over like 3 seasons, the amount of stuff that happens. And so just like Luke not staying like the bully ex-boyfriend over the whole season was very, very surprising to me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch. I didn't watch anything prior to recording this because...
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to watch to see what happens.
Like, as an OC fan, you meet someone and you talk about your favorite TV show. And it's like, oh, have you seen the OC? No, but I know so-and-so. That's always how the conversation goes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Or, no, but I've seen it on this TV show, parodied this, whatever. And so yesterday when we were talking about our formula and how we're going to do this podcast, and you Googled something, which we'll get into in the Marissa episode, but I was like, oh my God, you totally are, like, if you are going to research it, you will find what's going to happen to characters. And so I was so nervous. And then you're like, no. And I was like, oh my God, please stay in your bubble.
Yeah. And it's something very specific that I Googled, which we will talk about on the Marissa episode. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've developed into the type of person that I don't like to watch trailers.
Right.
I don't read any reviews. If I'm going to see a movie, I do not care what you think about it until after I have seen it. That's why it drives me crazy when people listen to our episodes before seeing the movie.
Yeah, that's
because I'm like, why would you do that? You're ruining. And so I will not look up. I'm not looking up anything on this show until I finish it.
Yeah. And so I was telling Seth, I was like, I don't want to do a recap podcast. Like I've done that on Let's Talk OC. People who are going to tune into this, I'm assuming love the OC. Mm-hmm. They love you and they want to hear your perspective on the show. That's what I'm thinking over here.
Sure.
And they want to hear maybe some different takes. And so we decided on we're just going to do 5 episodes of different characters.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel good about that.
I feel good about that too.
And the characters that, I had you pick 5 and I picked 5 and there was some overlap. And it might not be the 5 characters that you would think we would pick.
Right.
But I feel good about it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah. You were sending me your thoughts throughout your watch, which I loved. I loved that.
Yeah,
and I was like, we got to save this for when we talk. But again, we didn't have our formula yet. Plus, I always, if you're going to watch the OC for the first time, like send me the text. Like I want them. I don't care what time of day it is. Send them to me.
That's always a really hard thing to negotiate between two people. Michelle and I are both like married. We have different lives and jobs. Michelle does 2 different shows on top of this one. So it's always like, oh, I don't want to send you 500 text messages in one day, and it's like, okay, it's 5:00. Well, she just got off work. So let me send her more, so it's always like hard to kind of find like a good balance. But with the OC, I was just like, I got to tell her everything that's happening as it's happening.
Rapid fire. And
I remember specifically saying when, oh my gosh, man, when Luke and Julie get together.
I was waiting for that.
I was just like, no.
The gifts that were coming in were so good. I sent them all to my sister. So I was like, look what he just got to. And then Aunt was like, oh man, did he get to Luke and Julie yet?
Oh man.
But you pointed out so many references to movies tied to the show. And you're like, Michelle, this is a movie TV show.
Yes.
And I'm not a movie person, maybe overlooked.
Yeah. So I don't always watch things like with like movie guide glasses on, even though these might be my movie guide glasses.
No way.
No, I don't. I think as much as you can, as much as it's possible, you have to kind of let go and see what's happening in front of you. And so because of that, initially I wasn't looking for anything because I didn't think anything was really there. And the first one that I noticed was when Marissa meets Oliver, and we'll mention this later on, but Oliver's name is Oliver Trask, which is identical to the name Bolivar Trask from the X-Men comics. And Seth is a character who is about 20 years ahead of his time. This is pre-Rick and Morty. This is pre-Deadpool. So much of the media that exists now and is put out is like referential. It's either self-referential, fourth wall breaking, or there's just constant references to movies and TV shows and different events. So Seth Cohen feels very like ahead of his time, and it's perhaps an inspiration for a lot of the things.
He is 100%.
Yeah, that came later.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really, in episode, it might be episode 2 when they're talking about music, and Marissa says that she's into punk music, and Seth says, well, Avril Lavigne isn't punk. And she says, okay, well, what about like Stiff Little Fingers and The Jam? And she names bands beyond just like the Ramones and the Dead Kennedys, which is like the bands most people would know about. And so that kind of like perked my ears up. But there were two main things. There's little things throughout the series, but 2 main things that I noticed that were just like so jarring to me and really got me much more into the show than I was previously, because now I'm like looking for things and I'm looking for connections. One is in the episode where Sandy is enlisted by Caleb to help his friend, who's like, I guess, some kind of mafia enforcer type guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you hear about him and then you meet him and he's like this like old man. He's got a familiar face. He's an actor that you've seen play. He's an actor named Richard Hurd. And Richard Hurd was in the film All the President's Men, which is about the Watergate scandal. And what Uncle Sean gets in trouble for is breaking into a hotel room and tampering with paperwork, right? So, like, bells are going off in my head, and I'm like, are they doing like an All the President's Men like reference or homage here? And in the scene where Sandy sits down across from Uncle Sean, it's like night and day. If you notice it, the cinematography changes from the rest of the show to be these really, really extreme close-ups, and it's switching between the two as they're kind of having this difficult conversation of dancing around what's actually happening. And I was like, they're doing All the President's Men. Like, there's no way. Why is the OC doing All the President's Men? And then in the episode, the LA, it's towards the end of the show, and they're walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And Summer says, okay, well, what kind of stereotype would I be, right? You know, she makes some comment.
She's the boobs.
Right. And they walk out of frame and the camera points down at the ground and it focuses on this one star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So that star belongs to Theda Bara, which is not a name that would mean anything to anyone. And even like movie people, I had to look it up, but it really struck me because I was like, why are they focusing on this star? This has to, of all the stars and, you know, over the 1,000 stars that are on that Walk of Fame, why are they looking at this one? And so I looked up Theda Bara, and she was one of the original, like in the 1920s, like pre-Marilyn Monroe, like bombshell actresses. As they're saying this about Summer, and I was like, dude, that's such a weird, deep callback. And I tried Googling it. Like I tried to look up and see if anyone else had noticed any of these references. And as far as I know, I might be the first person to ever notice those things.
No idea.
And so those two in particular, I was like, okay, now I'm watching this show with like a magnifying glass. And yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Again, and like, just to bring it back to friendship and in introducing this show to my friends and new people, for you to point that out and then teach me something is pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's all of the movies that you and I do together are movies that I've seen before and that I really enjoy.
Right.
But what I enjoy is talking to you about them and hearing your perspective as someone who's, you know, in her 30s and hasn't seen this movie before, and you don't have all this baggage. So yeah, it's good. It's good. If your friends try to get you to watch something, you should do it.
Well, that depends.
Well,
yeah. I will say this too, because as I was watching some episodes to prepare for this, you know, as a kid, you watch it because you're 16 and the characters are 16, right? What I love about this show is it also gave the adult storylines. Yeah. Which a lot of teen dramas didn't. Most of the parents were absent. Like One Tree Hill, there's like no parents.
Sure.
There's a couple, I don't want to like down it, but really they're absent and we're more focused on the teenagers. Now, as someone who's 36, I'm much more interested in Jimmy, Kirsten, Sandy. Yeah. The marriage aspects of it, what those characters go through. So it's like this show that really grows with you through time, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you and I are closer to Sandy's age now than we are to Ryan's age. Yeah. And that's okay because there's a place for both of those people and like how, you know, All right. So we're going to go into our first character episode. I'm excited. Come back next week and we're discussing Seth Cohen. Can't wait. Seth on Seth. Seth on Seth on Seth. Thank you so much for listening to the OC20, a Movie Friends mini-series. If you like what you just heard and are curious about what else we do, visit moviefriendspodcast.com and follow Movie Friends Podcast on all social platforms.